When I woke up, my mature and steady CEO husband had lost his memory. He refused to let me kiss him, hug him, or even sleep in the same bed with him. Unwilling to give up, I leaned closer to him. Drip, drip. This innocent little puppy got a nosebleed. The phone alarm, which I forgot to turn off, disrupted my sweet dreams early in the morning. With my eyes still closed, I gave Shenyan a nudge. Shenyan, turn off the alarm. He didn't move. Half asleep, I rolled over onto him and reached for the phone on the bedside table. Finally, silence. At the same time, a force, not too heavy, not too light, pushed me off him. Frowning, I opened my eyes to see Shenyan suddenly bolt upright from the bed, yanking the blanket around himself as tightly as if he were cocooning. His face was bright red, his lips trembling, making him look like a wronged little wife. "Why are you on my bed?" I was instantly wide awake and sat up as well. Scooting closer to him with a laugh, I reached out to ruffle his hair. "Shenyan, what's gotten into you so early in the morning?" His gaze landed on my chest, and then he quickly turned his head away. Your clothes! Clothes!" I glanced down at myself. Just a regular camisole nightgown. Nothing wrong with it. I grabbed Shenyan's face, turning it back toward me, and felt his forehead. No fever. It seemed he was just groggy from sleep. Without hesitation, I tossed the blanket aside, crawled into his arms, and slid my hands under his pajama shirt. "Seriously, now I can't sleep in. You owe me some compensation." Shenyan's body immediately stiffened, going rigid. Let go. Ignoring him, I continued to explore, even tilting my head up to plant a kiss on his chin. Still not awake? The moment the words left my mouth, bright red liquid trickled from his nose. My eyes widened. "Shenyan, why are you having a nosebleed?" What followed was utter chaos. Despite Shenyan's strong resistance, I still managed to have him dragged to the hospital for a full-body checkup. "Are you sure he's fine?" I glanced at Shenyan, who was sitting next to me with a sullen face and no words. He had a nosebleed this morning. Jiangshu, barely suppressing his laughter, explained, "It's just a case of his blood pressure spiking." "How long will his amnesia last?" I asked. After the examination, it turned out Shenyan's memory was stuck at when he was 20 years old, which explained his awkward behavior. No guarantees, but his amnesia is likely linked to the car accident a few days ago. He did hit his head after all. Seeing my surprised reaction, Jiangshu scratched his head in confusion. "Shenyan didn't tell you?" Not a word. He had just returned from a business trip last night and gone to bed early. Good. He even kept the car accident a secret from me. Annoyed, I raised my foot and gave him a light kick. "Let's go home." Shenyan's amnesia was one of those things, neither a big deal nor a small one. Although he couldn't go to work at the company for now, his employees were capable enough to handle everything perfectly. But the thing giving me the biggest headache at the moment was that Shenyan refused to sleep in the same room as me. "Are you really not going to sleep with me?" Shenyan averted his eyes nervously, avoiding my gaze. After a long pause, he finally mumbled, "I'm not used to it. Fine." I gritted my teeth and tossed a throw pillow at him. "Go sleep in the guest room. Let's see how you will react to this when you get your memory back." That night, with thunderstorms rumbling outside, I grabbed my phone and snuck into the guest room. Skillfully, I burrowed into Shenyan's arms. Shenyan tried to resist, but I wrapped my arms around his waist and nestled closer to him, my voice filled with pitiful vulnerability. "It's thundering and I'm scared." Right on cue, a loud crack of thunder rumbled outside the window. I trembled slightly, my calf brushing against his leg. Shenyan froze completely, his hands rigidly placed at his sides as his entire body stiffened. His breathing grew increasingly erratic. Pfft. I quickly wiped the grin off my face. Sorry, I couldn't hold it in. Since the day I met Shenyan, he had always seemed unflappable, handling everything with ease. But now, he was as innocent as a college boy. It was oddly entertaining. In the past, at times like this, you used to read novels to me to help me fall asleep. Really? Shenyan sounded doubtful. I turned on the nightlight and tapped away on my phone screen with my fingertips. Here, this is where you left off last time. Chapter 28, Midnight Temptation. Shenyan paused for a moment, then under my eager gaze, reluctantly continued reading. Gu Hanye pulled her firmly into his embrace with his strong arms. In a whirlwind of motion, she was pinned onto the sofa, sinking deeply into it. Shenyan continued to read in his steady, formal tone, his neck turning red all the way to the tips of his ears. I watched his lips move as he read, completely losing track of what he was saying. My throat felt inexplicably dry. I wanted to kiss him, and so I did. My phone fell onto the bed in the process, bouncing once before settling. Shenyan's robe was quickly reduced to a rumpled mess by my hands. Wait, I haven't... He seemed to realize he'd fallen into my trap, probably because I looked like someone starving for affection now. But I didn't care. Cupping his face, I kissed him again, swallowing whatever he was about to say. My hand, almost on instinct, slipped beneath the folds of his robe, finding its way to his waist. You really don't want to? I straddled his lap, rubbing my nose against his. Hubby? It's not that, Shenyan's breath came in uneven gasps. I just think. Think what? As my hand traced lower, Shenyan's breathing hitched, his lashes trembling incessantly. There's still thunder outside. Aren't you scared? I buried my head in Shenyan's neck, shaking with laughter in his arms. Too cute. When it was finally time to sleep, I didn't push him further. I lay on the other side of the bed and closed my eyes. Not long after, I heard a faint rustling sound. A warm hand tentatively reached out, brushing against my pinky finger. When I didn't react, it slowly moved up until it enveloped my entire hand in his palm. That night, I slept soundly. When the phone call from the auction house came in, Shenyan was crouching on the floor, feeding Tangyuan some freeze-dried snacks. I casually picked up the call for him. You said Shenyan bid on a bracelet at your auction? Yes. According to the scheduled time, Mr. Shen was supposed to pick it up yesterday. Then just have it delivered directly. Understood. After leaving them the address, I hung up, folded my arms, and leaned against the wall, staring at Shenyan in a daze. My birthday hadn't arrived yet. There weren't any holidays recently, and it wasn't any kind of anniversary either. What kind of bracelet was important enough for Shenyan to make a trip himself to retrieve it? That designer bracelet seemed to have a name. Oh, first love. I clicked my tongue softly, unsure of what exactly I was feeling. Shenyan and I had met through a blind date. In the world of wealthy families, it's pretty difficult to have a marriage that is both well-matched and built on mutual affection. By the time you're going on blind dates, you've long stopped dreaming of childhood sweethearts, innocent romances, or anything like the fairy tale of going from school uniforms to wedding dresses. Unlike most of his peers in this circle, Shenyan's status and position were entirely built through his own efforts and connections. This also meant that, compared to others, I actually knew very little about his past. And if he didn't talk about it, I wouldn't deliberately dig into it either. The bracelet wasn't the only thing that arrived at the villa. It came along with Jiangshu. I held Tangyuan in my arms, chatting idly with him. Aren't you and Shenyan college classmates? Shenyan's been married for so long now. Why are you still single? Jiangshu pulled a face and motioned for Shenyan to lift his arm. I'm busy being the CEO's personal doctor, you know. A CEO's doctor friend is always busy. That's some excuse, I said while smoothing Tangyuan's fur. I thought maybe you had some unforgettable first love keeping you single all this time. Oh, come on. Do you think I'm Shenyan? Back then, Before he could finish, Jiangshu seemed to realize something and quickly changed the subject. Shenyan, stop moving! Meow! Tangyuan turned its head and looked at me, letting out a soft, complaining meow. I eased up on the pressure of my hand. Good grief. So Shenyan really does have an unforgettable first love. Under the night sky, the city wasn't quiet. Instead, it was even livelier than during the day, especially at the famous Q&K bar. The glass in my hand was tapped lightly, and I looked up to meet the smiling eyes of Lu Xingji. What's on your mind, Qiji? So lost in thought? I was thinking about Shenyan. He's still waiting for me at home. I answered honestly. As expected, the smile on the man's face in front of me gradually faded, like a mask on the verge of cracking. So, are we still going to talk about the East District project or not? If not, I need to hurry home. To be honest, if the profit weren't so substantial, I wouldn't bother dealing with someone as crazy as Lu Xingji. Coming to a bar late at night to talk business alone with a former suitor. Who would believe that? Well, Shenyan would. Just the thought of him made the corners of my lips curl upward unconsciously. Let's talk tomorrow. Lu Xingji said as he got up. "It's already late. I'll take you home." "No need, the driver is waiting outside." I grabbed my bag from beside me, pushed open the door of the private room, and walked out. As I approached the bar counter, a familiar figure froze me in my tracks. Confident and flamboyant, his slender fingers expertly worked a cocktail shaker. His fluid, skillful movements drew bursts of admiration from the women around him. The dim, flickering lights cast shadows over his chiseled features. Who else could it be but Shen Yan, the one who was supposedly staying home? Behind me, Lu Xing's voice crept up like a ghost. "Gigi, looks like President Shen isn't as much of a gentleman as he seems." Just then, a bartender happened to pass by, and Lu Xingji stopped him. "Does President Shen often come here to hang out?" "President Shen? Oh, he comes often. After all, he's quite popular with the ladies here." The bartender glanced at my expressionless face and quickly panicked, hurriedly correcting himself. No, I misspoke. Ever since President Shen got married, he rarely comes by." "So before he got married, he came a lot?" Lu Xingji pressed. No, that's not right. Aside from business discussions, I've never seen President Shen here." "Really?" Realizing he was digging himself into a deeper hole, the bartender hurriedly changed the subject. "If you'll excuse me, I need to get back to making drinks." With that, he rushed back toward the bar counter. Lu Xingji let out a sigh, as if in regret. "Gigi, seriously, out of all the options, you just had to pick someone as two-faced as this. Just look at Shen Yan's nonchalant attitude. Who knows how much fun he usually has?" He leaned closer, forcing me into a corner, leaving me no room to retreat. "Gigi, I've told you before, you need to open your eyes when choosing someone. Someone like him, clawing his way up from the bottom? How clean do you think his heart could be? He pretended to be the kind of person you'd fall for, tricked you, and betrayed your trust. Are you really going to keep lying to yourself and stay with him?" Lu Xingji's words were like sharp needles piercing my heart. A sour ache, a searing pain. I hung my head in silence, but my fingers clenched the leather of my bag so tightly that it warped out of shape. If this were the pre-amnesia Shen Yan, I could believe he was at Q&K for networking or socializing. But he had lost his memory. His memories only extended to when he was 20. Why was 20-year-old Shen Yan so awkwardly innocent at home with me, yet so at ease in a place like Q&K? The only answer was that he was an extraordinary actor, so convincing that even I, someone who lived with him day and night, was completely deceived. In all the years I had known him, I had never doubted his sincerity when it came to love. But now, my heart felt like it had fallen into an icy abyss, frozen to the core. Lu Xingji's voice lingered by my ear. "Gigi, come with me, okay? I'm the only one who won't lie to you. I'm the only one who truly..." He reached out, trying to pull me into his arms, but in the next instant, he was punched hard. Stumbling back a few steps, Lu Xingji stared in shock at the person in front of him. "Shen Yan?" Narrowing his eyes, he looked ready to strike back. I glanced at the two of them and walked straight between them. As I passed, someone grabbed my wrist. Shen Yan's voice called out to me, "Nanji?" I looked at him coldly. "Why are you here?" "Nanji? Let go." His expression was one of grievance, but he slowly loosened his grip. When Shen Yan was brought home by the driver from Jiangshu's place, I was sitting at the dining table, having a late-night snack. The melodrama playing on my tablet had just reached its climax, and I was watching intently. He changed his shoes and silently sat down beside me. When I didn't acknowledge him, he placed his hand on mine and called out, "Nanji, don't touch me." My eyes stung a little and my voice was slightly hoarse. "Nanji!" Shen Yan panicked. "Let me explain." "Go ahead." "I went to the bar today because the bar owner told me he saw you there. I was worried you might not be safe alone, so I went over quietly to wait for you." While I was waiting, the owner asked me to demonstrate some moves for a new bartender. I couldn't refuse, so I just... "Are you close with the bar owner?" Shen Yan answered everything honestly. "I used to work part-time at the bar in college." After speaking, he glanced at me sheepishly and added in a small voice, "I'm really good at mixing drinks." No wonder he seemed so skilled. Turns out he was on his home turf. I didn't say anything else and continued eating my late-night snack. Shen Yan leaned in cautiously. "Nanji, are you mad because I hit that guy?" "No." "Then why are you barely talking to me?" He took my hand and gave it a light shake. Back at the bar, I didn't talk to you because you punched Lu Xingji, and it landed right on his face. He cares a lot about that face of his. If I didn't act cold, he wouldn't let it go without landing a punch on you in return. Of course, the real reason was that if I had said anything more, I wouldn't have been able to hold it together and might have laughed out loud. I'd already been fed up with that lunatic. If Shen Yan hadn't punched him, my shoe might have ended up stomping on his foot. Normally, he was tolerable, but when he lost it, he'd start spouting nonsense about how much he loved and cherished me. If he liked me that much, why couldn't he just be straightforward and give me the East District project? As for just now, the reason I didn't talk to you was because I raised the shrimp tail in my hand. Can't you see I'm eating? And another thing, I added with an exasperated look, slapping his hand away. I told you not to touch me. Can't you see my hands are all greasy? Then let me peel the shrimp for you. Shen Yan's eyes lit up instantly. No need, I'm full, I declined. It's too salty, it's making my throat hoarse. Before going to bed, Lu Xingji called. Shen Yan answered it. Following my instructions, he replied seriously to the person on the other end. Nanji said, "The bartender you hired has terrible acting skills. 1-star review." The next evening, there was a banquet to attend. I changed into an outfit and got ready to head out. Usually when I went out alone, Shen Yan would always give me a farewell kiss or something. But now, if I kissed him, he'd probably jump out of his skin. Tang Juan circled around me, rubbing its head against my leg. I crouched down and stroked it from the top of its head to the base of its tail, then gave it a little push toward Shen Yan, who was sitting upright and proper on the sofa. Go on, Tang Yuan. Go keep your dad company. His mind's been a little foggy lately. I want to go too. Shen Yan stood up and walked over to me. Why aren't you taking me to the banquet? In your current state, it's not convenient for you to meet people. What? Shen Yan pressed his lips together, his fingers slowly curling toward me. Nanji? No. Nanji. His warm fingertips brushed against the palm of my hand, feather-light and ticklish, making my heart itch. What a clever guy, picking this up all on his own. Go get changed. Shen Yan had been dressing casually around the house lately. Now he switched to a proper suit and trousers, and that sharp, elite air returned in full force. I straightened his shirt collar for him. Don't you usually prefer wearing black? Shen Yan lowered his eyes, holding his breath without saying a word. As my fingertip brushed lightly against his neck, it suddenly dawned on me. Oh, right. You're young, after all. Breathe. Don't suffocate yourself. All right. The banquet was lively. I held onto Shen Yan's arm while chatting with a few people in the business circle. Shen Yan seemed a bit distracted, lost in his own thoughts. It wasn't until Pei Yi clinked his glass against mine that he snapped back to attention. Nanji, long time no see. Pei Yi, when did you return to the country? Why didn't you tell me? I came back yesterday, still adjusting to the time difference. It's been so long since we last met. How about I throw you a welcome back party tomorrow? Everyone can catch up together. Sounds perfect. Shen Yan, who had been silent all this time, suddenly raised his hand and held mine, his voice calm. I'm hungry. All right, just wait a little longer. But his grip on my hand tightened. Honey, I'm hungry. What? I belatedly turned my head to look at him. Even Pei Yi put his glass down, raising an eyebrow with an amused expression as if enjoying the show. You're hungry, huh? I pulled him toward a corner of the banquet hall. Sit here and wait for me. Before I could move away, my wrist was caught. With a strong pull, I was yanked onto the sofa beside him. Who was that guy? A childhood friend, I emphasized. He has a girlfriend, seriously heading toward marriage. Shen Yan's hand flinched back as if burned. Mamerith, the domineering CEO aura he displayed just moments ago, vanished instantly. I stood up and glared at him, resisting the urge to jab my finger at his forehead. I told you to say as little as possible tonight. Jealous, huh? Playing the domineering CEO act, huh? Don't you know that Pei Yi is the admin of our gossip group chat in the circle? And you're still saying things like, honey, I'm hungry. Believe it or not, tonight's pinned message in the group will be this quote. Shen Yan sat stiffly on the sofa, his head hung low as he endured my scolding. Taking advantage of a pause in my rant, he curled his fingers at me, signaling for me to come closer. Nanji? This guy only ever uses this trick. I kept a straight face. Weren't you calling me honey just a second ago? Shenyan's face turned crimson as he looked at me, his eyes even glistening a little. I sighed, stretching my hand toward him. Get up, let's go home. Just as we were about to leave the venue, a girl came stumbling toward us, her steps unsteady. The moment she saw Shenyan, her eyes lit up instantly. Ah, Yan! That way of addressing him? I frowned, but my attention was drawn to her slender wrist. On it was a delicate bracelet. It looked very familiar. So familiar, in fact, that for a moment I thought it was the very same First Love bracelet sitting back at my house. Ah, Yan, help me! The girl ignored me completely and rushed toward Shenyan, trying to throw herself into his arms. Shenyan froze for a moment, but quickly stepped aside. I don't know her, he said, his voice steady. When I pulled my hand away, Shenyan immediately noticed the change in my mood and grabbed my hand tightly. The girl fell to the ground, looking utterly disheveled. She stared up at him and said, Ah, Yan, it's me, Jang Song! I'm your fiancé! Don't you remember me? The banquet hall erupted into chaos. Wow, so President Shen is that kind of person? Big gossip! Tonight's banquet wasn't a waste after all. Hasn't President Shen been married for years? Where did this fiancé come from? Wasn't it said that President Shen and his wife have a great relationship? Could this be President Shen's? Shameless! Right? You'd never guess he was like this. Without much expression, I glanced at Shenyan and pulled my hand away from his grip. I crouched down to help Jang Song to her feet and asked, Fiancé? Tell me, what exactly do you need Shenyan's help with? As soon as the words left my mouth, a commotion erupted outside the banquet hall. Several plainly dressed men stormed into the venue, their faces full of anger. They pointed at Shenyan and began shouting furiously, Shenyan, you heartless bastard! We fed and clothed you for so many years, and this is how you repay us? Now that you've made it big, you want to cut ties with us poor relatives? You want to shake us off? Over our dead bodies. Gasps erupted all around, clearly shocked by the sheer magnitude of the information packed into those few sentences. I turned my head slightly to look at Shenyan. His expression had changed. Not guilt or panic, but cold indifference. A chilling aura surrounded him. He was angry. The organizer of the banquet hurriedly arrived with a group of security guards, clearly intent on driving the troublemakers out immediately. Who let them in here? Get them out now! But as soon as the security guards touched them, the group of men dropped to the ground dramatically, sitting down with a loud thud and wailing at the top of their lungs. Ah! They're hitting us! They're hitting us! Everyone, come and see! They're beating people here! Before Shenyan could take a step, I raised my hand to stop him and gestured for him to hold back. The security guards halted their actions as well, standing still on the side. After letting the men wail for a while, I finally stepped closer and asked, Are you Shenyan's relatives? Yes, I'm Shenyan's biological uncle. The man at the front, his neck stiffened, answered loudly. And what exactly is it that you want? I asked. Huh? It seemed like he hadn't expected such a question and was momentarily stunned. Keeping a faint smile on my face, I asked again, slowly and deliberately, What exactly is it that you want today? Or perhaps you could tell me in detail what inhumane things Shenyan has done to you. Who knows? Maybe I can even help you seek justice. The banquet organizer wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and at just the right moment suggested we find a quieter place to discuss. After all, from the look of things, the content of this conversation was unlikely to be anything flattering. I nodded, catching the flash of cunning in the eyes of the man sitting on the ground. In that case, I raised my phone, still mid-call, and smiled. Let's head to the police station to chat. Oh, and by the way, I added, glancing at Jang Song, who had been silent as a mouse since this group of men had entered. Miss Jang, you should come along too. I'd really like to know what kind of fiancé you claim to be to my husband. From a distance, Pei Yi, who was holding his phone and recording, met my gaze. He gave me a reassuring hand gesture. Once we reached the police station, the arrogance of this group evaporated instantly. Shenyan's uncle admitted that he had debts outside that he couldn't repay, so he lost his head and decided to cause a scene, hoping to pressure Shenyan into paying off his debts. As for Jiang Song, she claimed that at the banquet, she had mistakenly believed someone was trying to take her away, so she randomly shouted for help using the name of someone she knew. It didn't matter if it was Shen Yan or someone else. It was all just a coincidence, she insisted. Both groups, in front of the police, swore up and down that no one had orchestrated their actions and that everything was entirely their own fault. They were willing to accept punishment. I lowered my gaze, my eyes falling on Jiang Song's wrist. "That bracelet, where did you get it?" "I bought it myself online," she replied, shrinking back slightly and looking at me timidly. "It's quite pretty." I chuckled softly and withdrew my gaze. After returning from the police station, I made a call. The other party picked up almost immediately. "Gigi, how's this batch of actors? Are their acting skills up to par?" The man's voice was as casual as ever. "Pretty good." "That's good to hear." Leaning back against the office chair in my study, I tapped absent-mindedly on the armrest. "President Liu, you really have plenty of free time. A fiancé and a poor relative? You're certainly ensuring there's no shortage of entertainment." "The TV station must be at a real loss not having you over to shake things up. It's just a pity that I didn't follow your script this time. Disappointed?" "How could I be, Gigi?" The man chuckled lightly. "You know I'm never disappointed in you." "Really? As I recall, you didn't even show up at my wedding. You seemed pretty disappointed back then, didn't you?" There was a brief silence before he laughed again. "He wasn't good enough for you. Neither back then nor now. Whether he's good enough or not isn't for you to decide. Also, Lu Xingji, you don't seriously think you can mess with my man and walk away unscathed, do you?" "Oh? I've got a little gift for you too. Hope you like it." I shifted my gaze back from the slightly ajar study door and ended the call. Scattered on the desk were some papers detailing aspects of Shen Yan's past he had never shared. Although Jiang Song's identity as Shen Yan's fiancé was fake, the identities of those so-called relatives were very real. Shen Yan's parents had passed away when he was young, leaving him to be shuffled from one relative's home to another. After starting work, he even sent them living expenses regularly. However, not long ago, Shen Yan cut off this financial support because he discovered they had taken up gambling. Greed knows no bounds. Once someone develops a gambling addiction, it's incredibly hard to shake. A combination of hidden family secrets and emotional betrayal could very well push me to the brink, making me lash out at Shen Yan, who had no memory and thus couldn't defend himself. Had I cared about my reputation and agreed to negotiate with them privately, the next moment, rumors about the secrets of the wealthy oppressing others with power would dominate the trending topics on Weibo. Even if Shen Yan's negative press could eventually be cleared up, it would still deal a significant blow to his company. Public opinion is a cheap yet highly effective tool. Lu Xingji was gambling on a what if. What if I didn't love Shen Yan that much? What if I believed their nonsense on the spot? Lu Xingji is cold-blooded. His goal is me, but not entirely me. Crippling a competitor and seizing business and wealth, that's his real aim. Well, then I'll gamble too. What if the Lu Corporation has been evading taxes? What if the core industry files of the Lu Corporation mysteriously get stuck in the approval process? When I pushed open the study door, Shen Yan stood quietly in the shadows, his expression obscured. "What's wrong? Running low on power?" I wrapped my arms around his waist and nuzzled into his embrace. "Come here. Let me hug you and recharge your energy." "Nanji!" Shen Yan rested his chin gently on the top of my head, his voice tinged with hoarseness. "I'm sorry." I tilted my head up. Shen Yan's lips were tightly pressed together, and his eyes were red-rimmed. Oh no, the little puppy's about to cry. Time to comfort him. I pinched his cheeks and tiptoed to kiss him. "Shen Yan, there's no need to apologize. I like you for who you are, and nothing else matters. No matter where you came from, at least you stood up right in front of me in the end, claiming my attention entirely." "Nanji, did you just say you like me?" I was pulled tightly into his arms, and then I heard him ask me a deadly question. "Nanji, do you like him more, or do you like me more?" It was obvious who him referred to. I buried my face in his chest, trying to bluff my way through. "They're both you, aren't they? Why are you jealous of yourself now?" "Just as I thought. I'm useless, aren't I?" If it were him here today, this wouldn't have happened. His voice trembled, as though he was truly about to cry. No, you're perfect just the way you are. I like you very much, I quickly reassured him. Really? Really? I blinked rapidly to show my sincerity. Late at night, the sound of rain pattering against the window filled the quiet room. I was just about to drift off to sleep when a sudden knock at the door startled me awake. Getting out of bed, I opened the door. Shenyan! Shenyan stood outside, carefully choosing his words. It's raining. I looked at him in confusion. So? There might be thunder. His hand tugged nervously at the hem of his pants, and he blinked rapidly, trying hard to appear calm. It took me a moment to catch on. Lately, because of late work shifts and social obligations, I had been coming home very late. I'd gotten used to sleeping alone in the master bedroom, leaving him undisturbed in the guest room. After a few days of this, sleeping alone had become a habit. I studied his face for a while before casually replying, "It's fine. Didn't you say before that you're not used to sharing a bed?" I hate forcing people, I said, making up an excuse on the spot. If I get scared later, I'll just grab Tangyuan to cuddle with. Although I wasn't afraid of thunder at all, Shenyan's head drooped slightly, but his fingers still hooked in my direction. Nanji! I stayed unmoved. Before Shenyan lost his memory, I'd never seen him act like this. I loved this side of him. Nanji. My pinky was hooked, and Shenyan's face turned red again. It didn't take much more to break my resolve. When faced with beauty like this, who could resist? The door slammed shut with a bang. The bed sank beneath our weight as I pushed Shenyan down. You're hopeless. Open your mouth. How could someone need to be taught how to kiss? You jerk! Are you doing this on purpose? I grabbed his face, turning it left and right suspiciously. Something felt off. No. His hands held my waist, flipping us over. His palms were burning. Wait, hold on, something's not right. Wait a second. No. Shenyan stared down at me, his eyes unusually bright, almost as if the old him had returned. His burning cheeks pressed against the crook of my neck, and his soft short hair tickled me, making me itch. Nanji, even if it's not raining, let's still sleep together. No. Nanji. He used a bit of strength, his eyes watery and pleading. Ugh. Fine, you win. When Shenyan's message came through, I was still buried in the pile of project proposals. Working overtime again tonight? Yes, I wasn't as lucky as he was. Losing his memory meant he didn't have to work. These past few days, I'd been running non-stop between the Nan Corporation and Shen Corporation, reviewing so many documents that my eyes were starting to blur. After I replied, another message came through, a photo. It was a picture of an innocent-looking Tangyuan being held hostage. I stared at the typing indicator on the screen for a long time before I couldn't help myself and called him. Shenyan, what's going on with Tangyuan? Tangyuan, it's hungry. Are we out of cat food already? No. Then what's the reason? Silence came from the other end of the line. If you don't speak, I'm hanging up. Wait. I heard Shenyan take a deep breath on the other end, as if he had made some monumental decision. Tangyuan misses you. Neither of us spoke for a moment. Only the sound of our breathing filled the line. All right, I finally said. If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up now. Wait. What now? I miss you too. I didn't even have a chance to respond before Shenyan hung up the phone in a flash, as if he were being chased by some man-eating monster. Still as adorable as ever. I couldn't help but chuckle, my fingers tapping lightly on the phone screen. I miss you too? An hour later, another message from Shenyan popped up. Ding dong! Your late-night snack has arrived. Please check and receive it. At the same time, there was a knock at the office door. Come in. The wooden door creaked open, and Shenyan's head peeked in. His bright eyes sparkled like they were filled with fragments of starlight. Nanji, I've come to take you home. Our fingers intertwined. Shenyan and I walked hand in hand on the way home. The bracelet on my wrist was cool to the touch, glinting under the streetlights. So, why did you suddenly decide to give me a gift? I tilted my head and smiled at Shenyan. Is today some special occasion? Shenyan's grip on my hand tightened slightly, his expression calm as always. I wanted to, so I did. Oh? Are you sure this bracelet isn't meant for someone else? We came to a stop, no longer walking forward. He raised our clasped hands and kissed the back of mine. Gigi, there is no someone else. There's only you. What? My first love is you. From beginning to end, it's only ever been you, and it can only ever be you. With a kiss, he sealed my lips, making it impossible to respond. After catching my breath, I heard Shenyan's low and husky voice by my ear, answering my earlier question. It is a very special day. It's the day Shenyan and Nanji first met. It's the day I fell in love with you at first sight. My eyes widened in surprise. Before I could press further, he threw out a deadly question I had heard not too long ago. Gigi, do you like him more, or do you like me more? Gigi, answer me. His slightly rough fingertip gently stroked my cheek, and his deep gaze bore into me. Shenyan's unique presence enveloped me entirely. Both of them are you. I like both of you very much. Clearly, Shenyan wasn't satisfied with that answer, but I wasn't without ways to deal with him. Before he could speak again, I cut him off. Why didn't you tell me earlier that you got your memory back? I've been working myself to death at the office, so busy I barely know up from down, while you're at home enjoying your life? Shenyan, I continued, my momentum building. Answer me. Chi-Chi. Shenyan lowered his head and hooked his finger around mine. I was wrong. That whole act of being adorable doesn't work on me anymore. I'm immune to it now. Chi-Chi. All right, let's go home already. With a huff, I grabbed his hand again. Under the scattered moonlight and shadows, we intertwined our fingers once more and continued forward. This is the end of the main story. Next is the extra part from the perspective of Shenyan. The first moment Shenyan saw Nanji at the school seminar, he heard the fierce pounding of his heart in his chest. Thump, thump, thump. His mind was left with just 3 words. I like her. This student's ideas are very creative. I hope that in the near future, we'll see you at Nan Corporation, she said. After all, our company values talent. Definitely worth joining. Nanji stood on stage, flashing him a playful smile. The room quickly filled with applause and good-natured laughter. Shenyan watched her below the stage. His hand holding the brush stiffly dropped to his side. She praised him, and just like that, the 3 words bouncing in his mind changed. So happy. Jiangshu called it being captivated by beauty. Shenyan corrected him, saying it was love at first sight. From the moment Nanji entered his gaze, no one else existed. On the day of the blind date, Shenyan was a bundle of nerves. He arrived at the restaurant 2 hours early, scrolling through his phone incessantly. His ebook library was filled with books he'd purchased long ago, but had only now started reading. The Blind Date Survival Guide. The Compass to Successful Blind Dating. 1,000 Tips to Make a Great Impression on Women During Blind Dates. How to Showcase a Gentleman's Charm in Blind Dating. Jiangshu had confidently assured him that these books were incredibly useful, guaranteeing a successful date. Shenyan had believed his nonsense and diligently read through all of them. Nanji arrived. As soon as she sat down, she smiled with curved brows and said, Mr. Shen, you truly are young and accomplished. She praised him again. So happy. The corners of Shenyan's lips lifted unconsciously. Thank you for the compliment. Finally, one of the newly learned tips came in handy. Don't say too much, or the girl might find it annoying. It was their first date, and Shenyan felt very nervous. He arrived at the meeting spot 3 hours early, scrolling through his phone incessantly. The ebook library on his phone had been updated with a new selection of titles. 100 Small Tips for Love, The Psychology of Love, How to Love Well, Love Without Exhaustion. Suddenly, a warm cup of milk tea appeared in front of Shenyan. Nanji bent down slightly, leaning closer to talk to him. What are you looking at? So engrossed. Startled, Shenyan's hand trembled, and his phone nearly slipped out of his grip. Nanji's fair face was half buried in a cream-colored scarf, her bright, glistening eyes fixed on him. Shenyan, have you been waiting long? I just got here. He took the milk tea and lied without hesitation, his face calm, his heart racing. Nanji reached out her hand. Shenyan froze, his body tense, unconsciously holding his breath. But all she did was gently brush off the snow that had landed on his shoulder, her voice soft and amused. Let's go. At a social gathering, Nanji had a bit too much to drink. As soon as she sat in the passenger seat of Shenyan's car, she closed her eyes and fell asleep. When they arrived, Shenyan bent down, intending to help her unbuckle the seatbelt. That was when Nanji's hand reached out and caught him. Her hands, soft yet firm like resilient vines, wrapped around Shenyan. They didn't exert much strength, but somehow they held him completely still, unable to move. Shenyan, she smiled. Nanji loved to smile, and Shenyan loved watching her smile, especially when her smiles were directed at him. But this smile felt different from all the ones he had seen before. A faint mist seemed to shimmer in her eyes. A touch of dampness mingled with a glimmering light. Then, with a hint of alcohol lingering in the air, a feather-like kiss brushed against Shenyan's cheek. It was followed by a seemingly random remark. "That black shirt suits you." Her arms slipped away as she drifted back into sleep. Shenyan's eyes snapped open. He remained frozen in place, holding his position as if time itself had stopped. After that night, Shenyan's wardrobe began to fill with black shirts in a variety of styles. Shenyan had a formidable rival in the business world named Lu Xingji. One evening, the two of them unexpectedly ran into each other by the fountain at a banquet. At that moment, Shenyan was staring absent-mindedly at a few coins in the water. "Can you even make wishes in a fountain like this?" "Then I wish Nanji good health and happiness every day. Oh, and also for her to drink less and stay up late less often. But I didn't bring any coins with me. Damn it. I guess it's fine to owe it for now, right? I'll grab a coin later and toss it in. Or maybe I should ask someone if they have a coin right now." As Shenyan turned around, he saw Lu Xingji standing behind him. Lu Xingji's gaze was deep and unreadable. Who knew how long he had been standing there? Seeing Shenyan turn, Lu Xingji greeted him with a slow tone. "President Shen." Shenyan nodded slightly. "President Lu." Although Lu Xingji had been snatching up his business deals like a mad dog recently, Shenyan was a polite CEO. The necessary courtesies couldn't be overlooked. As they brushed past each other, Lu Xingji spoke again. "I've heard that President Shen has been spending quite a bit of time with our Gigi lately. But our Gigi is very playful. She's just looking for something new and exciting. Once she's had enough fun outside, she'll always come back to me. You'd be wise to cut your losses now and spare yourself the trouble." His tone was familiar, yet carried an undercurrent of hostility. Shenyan stopped in his tracks and turned to look at him. Lu Xingji's lips curved slightly, waiting for his response. "Crazy." That was Shenyan's reply. As soon as the word left his mouth, Shenyan felt his hand being taken. His body stiffened. His first thought was, when did Nanji get here? Did she hear me just call someone crazy? Lu Xingji, unfazed, greeted Nanji warmly and naturally, "Gigi." Then Shenyan heard Nanji respond to Lu Xingji with just one word, "crazy." After getting married, Shenyan and Nanji adopted a cat together. It was a tiny, silver-white fur ball, fluffy and soft. Nanji named it Tangyuan. Shenyan liked Tangyuan, especially when Nanji didn't have time to play with the cat. His fondness reached new heights. This was because she would gently place Tangyuan into his arms, coaxing the cat in a soft voice, "Be good, let your dad play with you." Then, using the same sweet, tender tone, she would speak to him and reward him with a kiss. "Thank you for your hard work." Sometimes, though, Shenyan found Tangyuan a bit of a nuisance. For instance, when Shenyan came home late after working overtime. After washing up, he would carefully remove Tangyuan from Nanji's side, move it a little farther away, then a little farther still. And then he would cautiously snuggle up beside Nanji, get closer, and then closer still. For a long time, Shenyan had been hiding some parts of his past from Nanji. Those difficult years had driven him to work hard, but they also left him with a subtle sense of insecurity when facing her. He knew Nanji wouldn't care about such things, but he didn't dare take the risk. As long as she didn't ask, he wouldn't bring it up. But when he lost his memory, everything was laid bare. After regaining his memories, Shenyan realized that what bothered him the most wasn't anything else. It was that Nanji seemed to prefer the version of him who had lost his memories. She would comfort him, tease him, and treat him with more warmth than before. It made him feel a little sad. But when he discovered that all he had to do was lower his head, hook her hand gently with his finger, and Nanji would immediately give in, that sadness vanished without a trace. Gigi. What? I'm running low on power. I need a recharge. No time. Gigi. Come here, let me hug you.